joined by Conor Leahy, who is one of the attendees at the summit, CEO of Conjecture AI, which focuses on controllable, safe development of AI technologies, and Andrea Miotti, who's the director of Control AI. Welcome to both of you. Andrea, I know you have some very serious concerns about where this technology may be going and whether it's even possible to regulate it. Lay them out for us, would you?
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for having me on today. As the Prime Minister himself recognized last week, many experts and even the CEOs of the top AI companies have declared that AI is an extinction risk to humanity alongside nuclear war and pandemics. And I believe they're right, and I believe we need to take measures fast to address this. The summit was a chance to have some of these measures. I think it succeeded in establishing a initial, very well needed step for international coordination, having many countries attending, having both the US and China and the UK and other countries in the room. I think it didn't go far enough in actually having concrete commitments. As you just covered now, the only commitment to come out of it was a declaration of voluntary measures agreed with some companies that are very light on details. So we need more than that, and we need more than that soon. And hopefully we'll have it either by the next summit or by national and international regulation coming up in the next months.
Conor, let's pick up on that very point about voluntary regulation. We've seen in many cases the inability of social media platforms and providers to properly regulate themselves across a host of issues. Why should we assume that AI companies will be able to provide appropriate regulation for themselves?
Well, we shouldn't. I absolutely do not think that we should expect people whose interests are clearly aligned with being as regulated as little as possible, moving quickly and breaking things, as the Silicon Valley ethos usually go, should be working with technology that potentially risks the lives of everybody. And this is not just a small position. The top 3 most cited, most famous AI researchers to ever live happen to all be alive today. This is Geoffrey Hinton, Joshua Bengio, and Ilya Sutskever, and they have all said that AI could pose such an extinction-level threat, and this is something that should be taken seriously. And adding to them are also the CEOs of the various companies themselves, such as Sam Altman and Dario Amodei. And despite this, they are continuing. And in a situation like this, it is mandatory that governments step in and step in fast.
Andrea, we've got people who say, I thought AI is going to provide us with, in the future, possible solutions to all kinds of things, like helping us with cancer research or helping us to capture carbon, maybe do something about the climate crisis the world is facing. Aren't you exaggerating the risks of this technology by using language like extinction risk?
I also believe AI can have many opportunities, and I think we can still pursue them while avoiding these very bad outcomes. And again, this is not just a position that I hold, but it's been a position that was in some ways hidden. It was an open secret of the AI field for years. And finally, just this year, we had many of the greatest luminaries of the field come out and say, yes, we do expect that smarter than human AI could cause the extinction of humanity. As it was recognized also by Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, by President of the European Commission.
How could it cause the extinction of humanity?
Yeah, that's a good question. The simplest answer is the one that Alan Turing gave already in the 1950s, which is once we have systems that are smarter than us in every domain, more competent than us, more competent at politics, more competent in manipulation, at impersonating us, at science, at technology, the future will belong to them, not to us. There are, in many ways, what some companies are working on right now is systems that are smarter than human, fully autonomous, that make their own plans and act in the real world. You can see in how many ways those things can go wrong, from accidents to misuse to simply us humans taking losing the driver's seat and being enfeebled by them. But the reality is that there are many narrow applications that are very beneficial and don't pose these threats.
Sure.
Like many of the things you mentioned, capturing carbon, solving difficult biological and chemical challenges. These are things we can pursue with narrow focused AI systems with concrete applications that have clear bounds and limits that can be very powerful, but are focused on a specific task.
Let me put this to Conor, if I can, because Conor, if we're talking about the need for external and international and global regulation around these technologies so that we can try to get the good from them without those extremely worrying outcomes, that seems like an understatement when we're talking about extinction risk, right? Extremely worrying possible negative outcomes. Is that even possible? I mean, this AI technology is coding itself, of course, these days.
It is definitely getting to that point. But we, at least in the current regime, have a lucky bottleneck in that AI is quite different from normal software. Normal software is written with code. You have a programmer who sits down and writes instructions for a computer to execute. This is not how AIs work at all. AIs are more like grown than they are written. You have these massive supercomputers, and you use them to grow a program to solve your problem. And these programs are not these AIs, they're not code that can be read. Yeah. It's more like huge piles of numbers.
Yeah.
And to build these, you require these massive supercomputers. And these are only built by a very, very small number of companies. They're extremely expensive, and they're very easy to track. So we have heard at the summit a very heartening support from not just Western countries, but also China and other countries that all agree that their international regulation and around AI is necessary.
So they say.
It's easy.
So they say, but then they'll go back and develop the AI and try to defeat other countries with it.
Well, this is definitely possible. And in that case, well, I mean, I guess humanity's not going to be around for very long. So we have to do what we can. It's very simple. If we don't get a control on AI, then AI will control us. If we want a long future as a human species, we have to rise to this challenge together.
Goodness. Thank you both very much, Conor Leahy and Andrea Miotti.